Hello and welcome back to Worlds 2020. We are jumping in as hot as you can into this pick ban between JDG and PSG. I'm Medic, and VODs is here to join me for all the action.
Hello! Let's jump straight into this draft. Of course, still a lot of stakes on the line for JDG. They need this win if they want to contest for that first place spot against Down 1. And they're going to lock in the Graves for Kanavi in this matchup. Let's see what the response is. Ornn, of course, is still up and available. Wouldn't be surprised to see that put in the hands of Hanabi. Something that he is quite familiar with, and he has in fact already played once this tournament as well. So, still looking though with oh, I don't like this. I never like this. I know that it is something that Tank has been playing a lot of, but I think that we've come to realize that blind pick Syndra probably not as potent as it once was. Yeah. There seem to be a lot of counter picks, especially from Yagao. He's already played 2 Echo games this tournament. Wouldn't surprise me if he played a 3rd.
So last time these two teams played, Hanabi played Ornn in the top lane. It was countered by Set, which has been banned out. Tank played Syndra in the mid lane, and Yagao picked up his Echo and absolutely demolished Tank in the mid lane. So I wouldn't be surprised at all to see that very common counter pick in mid, the Echo into Syndra.
Well, I'm thinking Camille Echo right now.
Yeah. From
the side of JDG. We've already seen what Zoom can do on the Camille. He had a very impressive performance, but we're going to see the Kayle. Okay, so this is a bit of an old school counter, something that we saw a fair amount last year's World Championship. And I think that the Camille, I'm convinced that Camille's still going to get locked in. Kayle is the whole purpose behind why you pick the Kayle into the Ornn, so that you can have a free scaling lane. You don't really get punished that hard, and then once you obviously get to those certain breakpoints of level 6, level 11, and 16 is really where this Kayle will continue to get stronger and become a massive powerhouse.
Alongside that, the Galio will be secured here for JDG. Expect that in the mid lane for Yagao. And one of my things with jungling at the moment is you kind of want priority in your lanes, right? You kind of want your lanes to get ahead and be able to push into the opponents, and then you get leads by using that advantage to translate into 2v2s in the jungle, right? So you bring, say, the Kayle over towards your Graves. But here, I look at it and I think Ornn early level should be able to push the Kayle in. Kayle melee range can get harassed, and Galio can be harassed out by a Syndra as well.
Well, I think that in the context of the comp, it's fine. Like, Graves might not have as much early game power because you're right, in terms of early prio, that he's not going to have that. However, his whole purpose in this game is to just farm up, do damage, and be a threat later on into the game. And the thing is, there's always going to be a situation where PSG may threaten to dive topside. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw something like that early, especially with the early prio that a Syndra can get. But then he just looks across map on the bottom side of the map. So okay. I wouldn't be surprised to see a strong 2v2 coming out from JDG in the bot lane. Something we've been seeing a fair amount from Lumao is, of course, his Bard. They may even consider going for something like a Jhin, something that Loken is very comfortable on as well. And then, oh, actually, that's a pretty good Bard ban. I like that from PSG. Notice that they also took away the Pantheon because they're aware of this potential strong 2v2 in the bot side of the map. I kind of expect an Ashe ban, but if it's not banned, I imagine that PSG is going to go for that. Okay, they're going to take away the Twitch. Interesting.
So, as you say, PSG expected to go towards the Ashe here for Unified. Is his most played across the course of Worlds. And, of course, PSG yet to pick up a win. So giving Unified something that he is comfortable on may help out in that 2v2 in the bottom lane and negate some of the power that JDG could be looking for. Instead, the Caitlyn is the hover. Something we haven't actually seen that much in Group B specifically. It's been quite commonly banned out across the course of all the other groups, but in Group B, we've only seen it banned a couple of times, and I believe it's the first time it's being played.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting. I think Caitlyn was a big power pick pretty much across the world, but then she had a very slight nerf, which kind of lowered her priority, but many teams still considered her a threat, especially with her ability to just dominate the 2v2 laning phase. But I think that what JDG's answer is actually a very effective one. Ezreal Karma can have pretty effective pushing power. Often we'd also see things like Ashe Karma to try and match it. I think that the Ezreal Karma is a little bit weaker in the early laning phase, especially when playing up against, the Caitlyn and the Lux. but we'll have to see how much jungle resources they actually get, because you can see obviously the top side of the map not particularly strong for JDG, whereas on the bot side of the map they actually should have decent pushing power depending on who actually gets the lane first. So I think in this early game we'll keep an eye out, see what both these AD carries are looking to do, where junglers choose to start, because I would imagine that both junglers actually want to try and path towards the bot side of the map unless PSG want to try and put this kill behind early. A lot of interesting stuff happening here. And of course we've got, well, I think both team fighting prowess is actually very strong for both teams, depending on at what point in the game we're at. In the mid game, I would give the PSG the edge. However, later on into the game, because of the Kayle, because of the Galio, it actually gets very difficult for this comp to die, right? There's no real threat onto the Ezreal later on into the game, which means that Loken can be a very big carry. It's going to be an interesting one, that's for sure.
And Loken's Ezreal was one of his signature picks in the LPL, 10-1 on that across the course of the 11 games that he played. So definitely a champion to be feared. JDG still fighting for a lot here. Of course, they want to tie up with Damwon at the top of the group. Damwon currently undefeated at...
30 seconds until...
Do you want me to, can I finish my sentence?
No, they're grouping bot lane. Do they know? Does Lumao know?
Only Unified's been spotted out. Lumao's going to get rooted up. And there goes the first kill. PSG on the board already.
All right, that's the heal from Loken as well. I like it. Everyone grouping up in the bot lane. Getting that first blood over to PSG is definitely going to be very valuable, especially on the back of the Kindred. I know that junglers, whenever they get that early bit of gold, it means you get your early jungle item much sooner. We may even see early boots, depending on what River's preference is. No, he's going to start working towards that warrior enchant. I like it.
He's double wielding at the moment. He's got his machete, he's got his longsword in the other hand. He's ready to cut down those camps.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of confidence because PSG, of course, while they are knocked out of quarterfinals contention, they can, of course, still play spoiler. If JDG lose this game, then it becomes a lot harder for them to be able to force that tiebreaker. And let's have a look, see how they use that lead. So we want to talk about early junglers. We can see that Kanavi going to start solo in the bot side of the map, meanwhile River starting top side. This does mean that Kanavi will be playing weak side of the map. He won't have that jungle assistance. He has to be careful of potential early ganks, and he definitely doesn't want to give a kill over towards the Kayle. Meanwhile, unless Kanavi splits the map, but he's going to get spotted. And you can see that's why Loken and Lumao were trying so hard to push the bot lane so they could offer their assistance. River is going to spot this out, though. But do they know that River knows?
Well, River's going to step out of the bush now, so now they definitely know that River knows because he has shown himself. Loken's rooted up. There's the light binding into the build of a Peacemaker, and Loken almost down. Kaiwing flashing forward, can't quite get the final shot. Kaiwing healed up through the Ignite, shielded as well with the Guardian. Kaiwing survives, Loken goes down, Kanavi falls, and PSG have come out of the gate swinging.
Yes, they have. That ward was beautiful from PSG. They punished JDG's early game plan. They recognized that JDG wanted to try and split the map. They wanted to try and put River behind, but so far, River is only getting further ahead to 0-0 now. And I think River even got himself a mark because he marked the Graves early, and of course the Graves did die there. So beautiful stuff coming out from PSG. Looking to end this group stage with a win.
And I don't think we really reinforced how important this game is for JDG. If they lose this, Damwon Gaming are at 5 wins. JDG wouldn't be able to catch them. So Damwon would be first, JDG would be second. With PSG getting such a good early start with a 1,600 gold lead, JDG, they have a strong scaling composition, but they've got to find a way to shut down River early on, because otherwise this Kindred could just take over the game.
Certainly could. And I think that this is something that PSG fans have been looking for a while. Seeing River and Tank step up. Of course, River also the benefactor of that early play. 3 kills to 0, 1.5k gold lead. River now sitting at 2 stacks, I believe, if my math is correct. And now he's looking for a gank in the mid lane. Here we go.
TP coming in, Yagao gonna step forward with the taunt, and now River knows he is green lit for the gank. Flash away from Yagao, but the stun still lands. River still on the chase here. No flash for him, but Yagao is going to the wrong side of the rift. Justice punch into a bush. Looking for some sort of way out of this one, but River and Tank can just go either sides of the wall. And Yagao will have to accept his fate. Actually trying not to give the kill over to River. Tank will take it. River still gets an assist.
But the mark was applied. That's the most important thing. So because of how extended that fight was, he was actually able to swap targets from Karma over to the Galio, which means that River now sits at 3 marks, 4 minutes into the game, which is so valuable for the Kindred. That's just going to further accelerate the late game power that this Kindred will offer. And PSG, 1.5k gold up against JDG. Beautiful stuff in the early game.
And we've seen PSG have these strong early games. We've seen them fight against teams in the first 10, 15 minutes of a game and then start to struggle when it gets towards team fighting. Now, I will say, I don't think we've ever seen them have this sizable a lead at this point. So we'll have to watch River and Tank and see how they can translate these 2 kills apiece into a lead in the mid game.
Certainly will be. I think that PSG should also try and look to attack Zoom up towards the top side of the map. Hanabi's got a really good potential freeze here. Okay, not going to get spotted out. Well, the ward may have just spotted him backing, but Hanabi has the wave in a really good space. What this means is that soon the wave will be stacking and start slow pushing towards Zoom. Notice the camps are spawning on the bot side, which means that River's going to go from bot, move up through his jungle and path towards top side. This means that Tank should also, I think he just hit level 5, which means that in about 2 waves times, he's not going to be in a good position to be able to go for 6, but he can push in mid and actually look for roam top before Yagao hits level 6. So like, you can see all these pieces starting to come together, and even though I've set all this up, River is just ignoring me and is instead going for the Inferno Drake. This is fine. This is also fine because he can also then go back into his jungle, do the Gromp, and then do what we were talking about, seeing as Hanabi still has a pretty comfortable lane freeze on the top side of the map.
I'm gonna be honest, gonna side on with the guy who's 2-0-1 on a Kindred at 6 minutes into the game here, Vedius. Against JDG, no less. One of the favorites pre-tournament to take the entire thing. Kanavi is up on this top side. He's gonna take away this Grump, means the Mark will relocate in a few moments' time. And both Zune and Hanabi now 6 in the top lane.
Here's that slow push that we were talking about. A giant stacked wave is building up. Zoom isn't going to be able to just clear this all out, which means that now we want to see the Kindred start pathing up towards the top side, maybe even a Lux roam up towards the top side of the map so they can try and leverage this. Zoom, of course, is level 6 and has that ultimate to mitigate a lot of the burst, but Tank has now just hit level 6 as well. So I set this all up. He's not going to go for it. It's fine. It's not a problem. I just thought that that was a great window of opportunity that PSG could have used to try and attack Zoom in the early game. Instead, they're going to look for another gank mid. Of course, Yagao still doesn't have the flash available. Let's see if they're able to pull it off.
Now, Yagao knows River was in the bottom side River itself because he cleared out a control ward over there. Tank's just going to use this time to put some pressure.
Oh, he already used his ult.
He's already used his ultimate, so no unleashed power for him. River now trying to dive onto Kanavi. Has got that Lamb's Respite up as well. So River, total control of the jungle right now. About a 2-camp lead, 6 yes or thereabouts. And it's still 2,000 gold in advantage here for PSG.
So PSG is pretty committed towards playing the bot side of the map. I'm surprised they didn't commit harder to this red buff, but I suppose without Tank having any mana and his ultimates, along with the bot lane kind of sacrificing wave priority in order to come and assist inside the jungle, River did not want to overextend. But now all of his topside camps are up and available. He needs to clear through those. And like, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I feel like there have been a couple of missed opportunities now that we've seen for PSG where they really could have leveraged the strong lead that they had. The map state was in a really good position for them to try and punish some of the members on JDG, where JDG really couldn't have responded. And I don't think that they've been able to really leverage that. So a few of these windows have kind of now closed because Yagao has now hit level 7. Trying to attack one of those side lanes is going to be a little bit harder. He does, of course, still lack the flash, which means that PSG could continue to try and attack this mid lane, especially with Tank already completing the Lost Chapter. But we'll have to see how much more they get off the back of this. This invade is a little risky, I suppose, because he has information on where the Graves is. He'll be able to take this one away. But I was concerned because the Galio was making his way back up and there was a risk of a collapse, but River not going to get punished for it. So he should be making his way to the 5-mark point right now.
Yeah, 5 marks on that Kindred. Already got the first range upgrade and is in such a strong position. Kanavi looking for the invade here as Kaiwing and Unified try to keep him around, but the light binding missing means it should be a pretty easy secure for the Graves build over Peacemaker. Not quite enough damage to take it down. And I do like this from JDG, coming into the enemy jungle, being like, okay, we'll split the map with you right now. You can take away my wolves, you can get the Rift Herald, but we'll try and get the blue buff in this Gromp at least.
I mean, I would have liked to have seen River steal away the enemy blue there. I think when you know Kanavi is literally stealing everything, you know that he's not on the bot side of your map, and you should also have information that his blue buff is up and available. So all of these camps are just going away. Meanwhile, all this bot farm is just kind of disappearing. PSG is kind of trying to stop Kanavi from taking all of these resources, and they're not really doing a good job of it. So he's actually been able to close the CS gap. He's still even in experience, and you can kind of see JDG taking advantage of all these little mistakes with which PSG is making and kind of clawing that disadvantage back. Still a hefty deficit, admittedly. And of course, the Rift Herald is still in the back pocket of River, which he can drop into the bot lane, funnel more gold into Unified, but that Kayle is still continuing to ramp up. So JDG will still have options later on into the game, because I feel like they haven't been able to fully utilize some of the early power that they do have.
That's the thing, you have to look at like who has been really shut down in this game by PSG after they got that early lead. Kanavi, not really, like he's 10 CS ahead. In the top lane, Zoom is actually ahead in terms of CS on this Kayle. River has got himself a bit of a lead, but there's no real lane that is massively behind for JDG. And yes, they're behind in total gold on the map, but they don't seem to be losing out on pressure too much because of it.
No, they're certainly not. And I think, like, as you rightly said, Yagao, kind of the only one right now at a significant deficit. But when you think about later on to the game, his responsibility will be to...
Just ult.
Just ult, yes, quite right. Just be that meat shield. A lot of the damage is going to come from Loken on the Ezreal, Zoom on the... Why do I keep thinking Camille? It's Kayle. And of course, Kanavi on this Greave. So as long as he acts as a tanky frontline, then he's going to be doing his job. So I think JDG right now are actually feeling quite comfortable. They didn't sacrifice too many plates. Their bot lane tower is still up. The Kayle hasn't really been put in much of a deficit. And so even though PSG, they found a lot of early advantages, and you know, they're sitting pretty comfortable right now. What was a 1.5k gold gap is now a 1k gold gap, and that gold gap will continue to mean less and less as the game goes on.
So the next option for PSG is to start looking to stack up these dragons. You got the Infernal Drake at about the 6-minute mark. There's a Mountain Dragon for you now. If you get this, you can look towards, you know, a 22, 23-minute Soul and really put the pressure on JDG to fight before they're fully scaled up, before the Kayle is level 16, before the Ezreal has those 3 items. Because if JDG get to a point where they're at 2 or 3 items apiece, they're going to be very difficult to navigate in a team fight. And I like this from PSG. They get the Mountain Dragon, and we'll see what Soul is going to grace us with its presence on the Rift today, Veddies.
Looks like it's an Ocean. Definitely a valuable one for both teams. PSG, as you rightly said, in a good position to set up for that Ocean Soul themselves. But let's see what next steps there are available for both teams. Of course, no neutral objectives on either side of the map. There are these bot plates that could be up for contention, and I kind of wanted to see Tank moving a little bit, like forcing Yagao to use that ultimate, even if you don't get anything off the back of it, just like creating those points of pressure I think is really valuable, especially given the state the tank is in, and looking to try and take down this bot tower to enable the Caitlyn to start moving around the map a little bit more. Also puts pressure on Zoom, because if you have the Ornn sitting in a 2 versus 1 lane, sure, he's going to be denied farm, but that's significantly less impactful than having a Kayle being denied that farm, having to try and play into a Lux Caitlyn setup. So again, we're kind of looking at PSG to try and leverage a little bit more some of the playmaking tools that they do have, but they're committed to try and make this play happen in mid. Kaiwing has now joined them.
Yagao just takes a momentary overstep for him to be caught out, but he'll be fine right now. I will draw attention to something we don't often talk about, Vedius, as Yagao should just be able to escape. The upgrade on warding items. Kaiwing has already hit his, and Lumao is actually yet to get that Frostfang upgraded. So he doesn't have those extra wards for the map. And if PSG can play around the fact they can have a little bit of extra vision right now, they do have a window of opportunity where they can just see more of the map than their opponents.
Very true. We did see Kaiwing move with the jungler just a little while ago, and you can see these pocket of vision set up on the bot lane River, which does then make things a little bit scarier for Yagao, but he also has full information on where Unified and Kaiwing are. Loken and Lumao have actually done a great job of pressuring this 2 versus 2, and you'll notice that they've been able to take 3 plates in the bot side just through playing some of the pressure that Kanavi has. And again, this Kayle, continuing to ramp up, has now completed the Gunblade, and now we're kind of looking at a little bit into the future. That level 11 is going to come through for Zoom, making him much more potent. And obviously JDG wanted to do their best to slow the game down, and you can see that gold disadvantage is only 1,000 now. River, while continuing to get these stacks, here we are. This is the bot lane roam that I wanted to see. Tank now moving down, River alongside. Let's see if they can get anything off the back of this.
No, they can't. They weren't able to find Loken and Lumao, who are just very safe, backed away preemptively. Plate doesn't even go down, so that's the 4th plate untaken in the bottom lane for PSG. Those plates will fall off as we hit the 14-minute mark, and the gold, about 900 between the two teams now. You can see CS advantage in the top lane for Zoom as Yagao is jumped on. River taunted up. Yagao gonna have to flash across the wall, and as I said, Zoom with about a 15 to 16 CS lead in the top lane, about 13 or so in the bottom lane as well for Loken over Unified.
Okay, so they're getting the push again. They will get this tower. I want to see PSG. Unfortunately, this Gromp camp does get smited away from him. We may see a fight here, though.
Wolf is down, but Kanavi is just able to back away. Lumao has now finished his award quest, so he has got some extra vision for JDG, making it a lot easier for them to fight around the next objective, Vedius. And with that Ocean Dragon coming up in 2 minutes' time, my expectation is both these teams will want to look to fight around the third dragon of the game.
Certainly will. A lot of damage now coming from Zoom. You can see that he's getting within kill range. Hanabi going to be forced to play a little bit more defensively, but Zoom no longer weak side of the map. No. Being level 11, having that extra range, having that first completed item, definitely makes him a much bigger threat, and Hanabi's constantly going to be forced to play defensively. That's why we're seeing the swap now from Unified and Kaiwing up towards the top side of the map. But, you know, I am a little disappointed in PSG not attacking Zoom a little bit more when I think they had the tools to do so. In the meantime, Kanavi going to take this Rift Herald, and, you know, they can now use that to funnel a little bit more gold into Zoom. Of course, the plates have disappeared, but taking that top tower down gives him a little bit more of a safety net, as he's actually playing 1v1 right now against the Caitlyn in top lane.
Now, Kayla champion we don't see too often. I'll just quickly go through some of her mechanics in case anyone at home is wondering why on earth she was melee at the start, and now she has these weird flaming swords coming out of the back of her. When you hit level 11, you get... It's level 6, you get ranged auto attacks at level 11. They add this little extra flame on top of them, and then at level 16, you get fully stacked passive, so you get all of the extra attack speed from your Zeal, and you also get a little bit of extra attack range alongside those flames. So that's why we always talk about Kel being really strong when she gets later on into the game, because you are doing AoE damage with a huge amount of attack speed.
Yeah, and of course, prior to that level 16, you have to stack up those AoE things. So she doesn't she doesn't automatically have all that additional damage, AoE damage. She has to kind of build it up. But once she hits that level 16, she pretty much always has it, and that's what makes her so scary. We do actually see both teams now kind of posturing around the mid lane. Tank using his TP to the bot river. We're just going to see a full-on fight here. I do like the investment from PSG. We talked about it. Playing towards that 4 Drake win condition. At this point in the game, they're feeling pretty confident. They have a lot of their core items completed. JDG, they want to answer back. They're going to use the Rift Herald mid to create that point of pressure. And it looks like they're actually just going to go for the Drake.
It's going to be an Ocean Dragon, third dragon of the game for PSG, in exchange for a mid-tier 1 perhaps. Rift Herald charges in, still half HP on that tower though. Light Binding goes a little bit wide. River, Unified and Tank looking for a flank position. Hanabi is on the front line, forcing Kanavi up towards the top. And now it's a 4v4 around this turret. Kanavi is actually almost taken down the enemy jungler here. Call of the Portugal is going to connect. There's the final spark. Kanavi healed up by Loken.
So, PSG don't actually lose anything off the back of that. They will secure the 3rd Drake of the game. Their mid-tier 1 is still alive. JDG doing everything that they can to try and pressure this tower because they know there is a pushing wave top and actually a slow wave pushing in the bot lane, which means that there's a lot of farm for them to catch, and PSG is just kind of doing everything in their power to hold the line right now when they really need a reset. Looks like they're going to get it as well.
Yeah, they get the 3rd dragon as well. So it's 4 minutes on an Ocean Soul here for a Caitlyn, for a Syndra, for a Kindred, for an Ornn. That can be a team fight decider. Of course, Grievous Wounds can come out from JDG. You're only mitigating a little bit of that healing, reducing it by 40%, not cutting away the entire bonus that you get from an Ocean Soul.
All right, so while PSG haven't really been able to balloon their gold advantage, sitting at a 1.5k gold lead, they've kind of been able to build it back up a little bit. That's going to neutralize as JDG look to get some of these out of towers, but once again, PSG will deny them. Honestly, Medic, this has been a bit of a weird game. I think that because of the advantages PSG found themselves early on, the JDG obviously couldn't be as proactive as they wanted to be, and now, like, they've been trying to force a lot of the plays, and I think that a lot of the things that you would expect PSG to do, they're not actually doing. Yep. They're kind of reacting a lot to what a lot of JDG is trying to set up, and they're actually successfully stopping them, which I think is the slightly strange thing, because often what we see in pro players are trading of objectives. Like, oh, you're going to play towards bot side? Well, then we'll play towards top side.
Yep.
Because we're the team that's ahead, we're actually going to end up taking more, usually because we're ahead of the play, and JDG's like, well, okay, we'll just take these small advantages back. But they're actually not getting really any advantages. You know, early on they were getting a couple of farm or CS leads in various lanes. You know, the KL, as we were talking about, getting the free scale. But in terms of objectives, JDG really haven't been able to convert it into anything outside of a single Rift Herald. So PSG, in terms of the objective front, have been very dedicated to keeping them protected and alive, and they're doing a good job. And this will be the first tower of the game. It looks like JDG now finally going to break some of these outer towers.
Yeah, Zoom in such a good position against Kanavi in this side lane. Kanavi's chased off by River, looking for the stacks. River almost kills out the enemy jungler. Shield from Lumao at the end will keep Kanavi alive, but that just adds more pressure onto the map here for PSG. They'll take down this mid-tier 1, third turret of the game for them. Or second turret of the game for them, sorry. The scoreboard updated a little bit rapidly. Now River's looking for the dive on Yagao, but Yagao will retreat. So here comes the third tower. I was a couple of seconds in the future there, Vedius. Knew it was going to happen. But I will say, back to your point about PSG getting an early lead and then playing just that little bit slower, more reactive, this is what we saw from them in the PCS. This is how they played in the PCS. Compared to play-ins where it was all Kongwei and Uniboy really exploding the game, that wasn't a typical PSG style. They were much more about getting a small early lead and then translating that into team fights later on.
Well, team fights are going to be the name of the game because they're guaranteed to get one, as the Ocean Drake is going to be spawning in a minute and a half. That will, of course, be the sole point. And JDG will be forced to fight for it. Doesn't matter how strong the Kayle is. Ocean Soul is a beast in its own right.
That Kayle is pretty darn strong though.
Yeah, but still not level 16 yet. Not really the most terrifying point. Definitely strong, definitely terrifying, but manageable. Unified, level 11, 2 items completed. Of course, Loken in a similar position. The Galio is not very relevant. However, Tank gonna base, and I hope to see that upgraded Spellbinder.
There we go.
There it is. All right, nice. So PSG kind of have all the items that they need. It's a bit of a shame that River kind of diversified his build, so he wasn't actually able to fully complete either the Black Cleaver or have upgraded boots, which means that he's likely not going to have it available for this next fight, because if he resets now, he's going to concede River control, which is going to be very important when contesting for this objective.
40 seconds on the Ocean Dragon. Loken trying to step forward. Hanabi headbutts a wall. Can't quite find the Nuka, but there's some good damage onto the Ezreal. Final spark coming out as well is going to force Loken away. Be helped out just a tad. He's still got the heal, still got the flash. He's going to try and heal up.
But that's really valuable and a worthy investment from PSG, because Loken is now forced back. He can't contest the mid-wave. This is going to guarantee it for PSG, so they can push in more poke coming down onto Loken. Going to make it even harder for him to get involved in the fight. I like the way in which PSG are playing this patiently. They don't have control over bot, but the Drake is spawning in 5 seconds. This could be do or die for JDG.
Control ward in the back of the pit has been cleansed away by Unified, and now PSG are fighting for the Ocean Dragon. They'll start it up. Yagao, Lumao on the front line, trying to step forward is the PSG.T, but here comes the call of the Forge God, and there goes Loken, flash forward from Tank. Loken flashes away to try and survive, but the Ocean Dragon has to be the target here for PSG. Kanavi in the pit, doesn't get it, secured by PSG, and now Kanavi will pay for his sacrifice with his life. PSG can turn straight over towards the Baron right here. They're going to chase away JDG.
It wasn't a huge explosive team fight. It was just slow and steady for PSG. They were able to just poke JDG away from the objective, and now that they find that pick onto Kanavi, they can convert this straight into a Baron. Ocean Soul, Baron in their back pockets. PSG is looking to make the upset real.
And what an upset it would be. It would deny JDG a spot in first. Down One Gaming would secure it. PSG would get their first win of the tournament, but Yagao is trying to say something else about it. Zoom stepping forward. Is a flame, is a Risen, looking for the damage here on the Kayle, and RB goes in, but there is the Nasher secured. Taken by River, but the engage with the Taunt. River pops a Lamb's Respite. First time we've seen that this game, but it works out so well for him. Yagao steps out of it and immediately is popped. Zoom chased away. PSG all gonna get out alive. Loken trying to have something to say about it. He dashes forward, looking for the damage with Mystic Shots, but the ace in the hole to turn around. By Zoom! Loken has to jump across the wall, but he's done for as well! PSG with an incredible fight around the Baron, turn it back around on JDG. Lumao forced away as well. PSG aren't done for yet, they're chasing, they're trying to get Kanavi, who is just trying to get the smallest bit of solace out of his own jungle.
PSG is bloodthirsty as they hunt down the remaining JDG members. They don't care about the objectives anymore. They just want to shut JDG down. They want this world to be remembered, and they will take everything away from JDG as they only get 1 kill, while PSG walk away with the Ocean Soul, with the Baron buff, with multiple kills, and with JDG being denied that first place in Group B.
And what a performance from PSG. You have to remember, like, River's never been to World, Tank's never been to Worlds, Unified and Kaiwing have been twice, once they got knocked out in play-ins, and once they went 6-0 in their group. And you can see off the back of plays like this just how much this win means to them.
This was a great flash in from Yagao, but it's too little, too late. The ultimate comes in from River to mitigate all the burst damage. He then tries to escape, and he gets shut down. At this point, PSG's like, we should disengage, but JDG thinking, no, we can chase, and then you see it. The stun comes through, or the trap actually comes through onto Zoom, which gives Unified all the damage he needs, along with the damage on top of Loken, to make it an easy cleanup for PSG. They now have a 5k gold advantage over JDG, and it has been slow, it has been steady, but it has been the way PSG have won domestically, and you can see how they earned their way to Worlds. It's not flashy, but it gets the job done.
Really does. Unified topping the damage shots in that last fight. 6k from the Caitlyn, has an Infinity +1 edge upgraded by the Ornn, has a Phantom Dancer, a rapid fire cannon. This Caitlyn is well and truly online, and now it's all on JDG to try and defend. Hanabi has the teleport, is going to push in with the Baron buff in the middle lane. And PSG are just waiting for this next wave before they should be able to crack this tier 2 in bot.
Still have the Baron for another 30 seconds. Let's see if they can actually break into the base of JDG. They have a wave pushing in mid. They've got the wave on bot with Caitlyn on all the traps. The sieging power of PSG is very strong. Stun comes through.
Hanabi still in the mid lane, looking for that Ornn TP, seeing if he has to join the fray. Ace in the hole, popped on Hanabi, and he's forced down to half HP. The wave, quite a way away, but you can see River's actually going to catch it and speed up those minions. Baron about to expire. They're trying to get those minions towards this bot lane tower as soon as possible. Baron buff falls off, but the wave is here, and it's a cannon. As PSG once again start to chunk out this inhibitor tower. Knockup's going to land onto Zoom. River jumping in, but they just want the turret to start it off. Lots of damage onto River. Zoom forced away as well. There's the Lamb's Respite to keep the Kindred alive. Divine Judgment coming out from Zoon. Here's the hero's entrance, and you can see the re-engagement. Unified's already taken 2. PSG find another in the fight. Kanavi forced away. Unified's on the chase. That's a triple, and he's looking for his Penta. Loken and Lumao forced underneath the Nexus towers. The inhibitor will fall. No wave in the mid lane yet for PSG.
Tank is looking to reset. He's going to TP back in. I think PSG is going to look to end the game right now, Medic. 30-second death time as JDG have got nothing left.
Loken and Lumao have to do something absolutely miraculous to hold on to this game, but PSG are having none of it. They take the Nexus towers, and in an absolute shellacking, 11 kills to 1, PSG claim their first win at Worlds 2020.